Welcome to Impact Sales Live. I'm your host, Joe Beck, founder of the Sales Activist and host of the Impact Sales podcast. Impact Sales Live was created to shine a spotlight on the best practices and tips that will help you stand out from the crowd in sales. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a coach, a consultant, or a sales professional selling for a company, you're going to get a lot of value out of Impact Sales Live. I'll be hosting Impact Sales Live every Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. So block off your calendar and make sure that you start off your week the right way right here. We will not be here on Monday, July 4th, but we will be here for every Monday for the foreseeable future. So make sure you block off that time and don't miss any one of our lives. Impact Sales Live today was sponsored by our premier sponsor, Podcast EZ. Podcast EZ is our go-to source for all things podcasting. You just speak and their team will take care of the rest. We used Podcast EZ to help us create and launch the Impact Sales podcast, and we are completely thrilled with the results. To learn more about Podcast EZ, just check out the link that I'm going to drop in the chat. Now, let's get started. So to kick things off, I'd like to start with an explanation about Impact Sales Live. You never know what might happen here or who will be on. See, you can plan on seeing guests sharing sales stories and successes. You're definitely going to hear a lot of great information and content about professional selling. And more importantly, we're going to make sure that you get valuable insights and information that's actionable that you can take and put into use in your own businesses. So you definitely want to log in every week on your best access. It could be on Facebook, could be on LinkedIn, YouTube. We're going to be on Twitter and Instagram. So check us out wherever it is most convenient for you, but it's going to be always on a Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. So let's kick things off, starting a little bit talking about what I like to call one of the biggest challenges that face many of the entrepreneurs that are out there today. See, it's standing out in a crowded world. I have this on the top of the list of what I'd like to share today, simply because it seems like no matter what you do, it doesn't matter what you offer. It doesn't matter what your product or service or offering is. When you look at what's going on out there and you check out what's happening, there's a lot of noise. It's a noisy, crowded world. And how do you stand out? How do you separate yourself from the noise? How do you stand up and make sure that people notice you to give you enough opportunity to be able to talk with them about what's going on in their business? Look, it's not easy. In today's world especially, it's louder than ever before. People have so many distractions. They have their phones in front of them. They have their email in front of them. They have work distractions, home life distractions. And somewhere in the middle of all this, you're trying to stand out. So the number one bit of advice that I want to share, and I wanted to start our first live off with this, is to be able to stand out, to be able to really be noticeable in the eyes of the people that you're talking to. You need to make sure that whatever you do things a little different than other people. You sound different, you look different, you stand out a little differently. And why is that so important? Well, in this crowded world that I just talked about, it being so noisy, the worst thing that you could do is sound like everybody else that's out there. You don't want to sound like everybody else. You want to stand out. You want to be yourself, but you definitely want to be unique. And this is important, especially because with the amount of people that are out there, and especially if you're doing things online, there's a lot of options that people have. Look, 20 years ago, this wasn't the problem that it is today. You could reach somebody and their list of options wasn't as broad as what it is today. But in today's world, it's a whole different ballgame. How so? Well, somebody can just grab their phone and have 1,000 different options for what it is that they may be looking for. So you really need to stand out. You really need to put yourself in a position where you are standing out with all of the people that you're talking to and sounding different than the other people that are out there. How else do you stand out? Well, I'm going to tell you, you need to do things that other people aren't doing. To stand out, you need to, as I said, be unique. You need to do some things that other people aren't doing, or perhaps put yourself out there in a way that isn't what you're used to. This live stream is an example of that. Being comfortable enough to go live and put yourself out there and talk about what's going on and bringing things to the world is not an easy thing to do. But the fact is, not everybody does it. And when people do it, it will stand out. It helps people recognize something that maybe they didn't notice before, or maybe they didn't take enough time to look close enough at it. So definitely, you want to push yourself a little bit. You want to get a little uncomfortable to get comfortable. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that for you to accomplish the goals and dreams that you have for yourself, for your business, or for your life, you probably need to get a little uncomfortable first before you're ever going to get truly comfortable. And that means you're going to need to do those things that make you uncomfortable, that are a little different than maybe what you're comfortable doing today. Maybe it's putting yourself out there in things like a live, or maybe it's advertising differently, being more direct. Maybe it's investing more time and effort towards helping people learn more about you or what you offer. See, the fact is, it doesn't matter what you offer to the world. If you're bringing value, if you're having an impact, if you're truly changing the lives of the people that are around you, you're going to be recognized and you're going to have opportunities. But sometimes, depending upon where you currently are and what you currently do and how you approach your business, it may not be the easiest thing for you to be able to see and understand the impact that you're having. So it might just be that you've gotten set in your ways, or you do things a certain way, and changing things up make all the difference in the world. It may give you more of an opportunity to reach people, connect with people in a different way. One of the things that I'm a big fan of, and I think it's so important in today's world, especially, is that you need to put value out into the world. You need to do things that are valuable, things that might have an impact on the people around you, whether it's your market or just in general, your environment, your community, the businesses that you associate with. It is so important today to put that value out there, because value in and of itself is becoming much more commoditized than it used to be. And here's what I mean by that. There's a lot of different ways that people can receive value. They can receive value by reaching out and putting themselves in a place that they weren't before, and find new relationships, new interactions, new contacts, and they can create and receive value in that environment. But the fact is, there are so many options out there that people expect to receive significant value. There's almost this high degree of expectation that value should automatically be there. And the reason why it's important that you start there and bring it is, if you don't provide value, if you don't share, if you don't bring something that really wows your prospect or your client, you're going to find that you'll immediately be discounted by a lot of the people that you'll be talking to, because so many other people are bringing value. But you can't stop there. See, the fact is, in today's world, to be successful selling, and I'm talking to all the entrepreneurs that are out there, I'm talking to the coaches, I'm talking to the consultants, to the people that are interacting day by day with prospects and clients and trying to make a difference in the world around them. Value is not enough anymore. Value is simply a stepping stone to get to where you want to go. And where you want to go looks different than what it looked like 20 years ago. In some ways, it's the same, but in other ways, it's a whole lot different. See, today's buying community, today's world, the environment that we're a part of is a lot different. See, 20, 30, 40 years ago, you could contact people, and most of the time, you held a high degree of the educational responsibility to educate your prospect or your client about what it is that you were offering or what their needs were and how you could address them. But in today's world, because people can access information so readily, they can get more information from their smartphone than they could ever get before. They have a lot of the information that they already need. They probably already know they have an issue, a concern, or a problem. They have a need. They've probably done some preliminary research. In fact, studies have shown that as much as 57% of the buying process has been started earlier, long before a salesperson ever interacts with the client, because that client, if they were at all aware of a need or a desire for something, has already done the research. The first thing that we all do when we start getting interested in something is we Google it. You know, we're either on Google looking for something, or we're on YouTube trying to find a video explaining how to do it. You know, the fact is, people do a lot of research. Now, the reason why that's important is value is monetized because of the amount of information that's already been shared. When they interact with a professional, whether they're a coach, a consultant, an entrepreneur, you know, when your clients are interacting with you about the opportunity to be able to do business with you, there's a lot of information they already know. There's some that you need to fill in, obviously, but in many cases, they know a lot of the information about what it is that you may offer or specifically what need that needs to be addressed. And they've probably done the research. And where you're going to separate yourself from the rest of the pack, where you're going to truly just separate yourself from everybody else that's out there that does what you do, is when you start playing across what I call the impact line, where you get beyond just talking about value and you start talking about impact. How will something impact them? What will that impact look like? What will they get out of that impact? How will their life be different? How will they feel about that impact? And these are all things that are extremely relevant in today's marketplace. See, it's very easy to be lost with all that noise that's out there. There's a lot there that do what I call drive-by marketing, right? They're emailing, they're texting, they're calling, they're posting on social media, they're hitting groups on social media. And I do it. A lot of people do it to a degree, right? But a lot of people never stop to engage. It's all just throwing it out there and seeing what happens. And the next part of standing out, and this is going to be really important. This is a something you definitely want to write down. Make sure you share this and write this down, because this is something that I think is significant for everybody here that is going to really understand and want to understand how to be successful. We suffer as a society from what I call failure to engage syndrome, FTE syndrome. And what that means is people are constantly out there posting and not engaging. People will reply to a post, and a lot of times people won't engage. Now, to separate yourself from other people, just be that unique person that does engage. And look, everybody has challenges with that. It's a busy world. I know I have a lot of challenges with that. But the fact is, when you engage people in direct response to something that they are responding to, you already start separating yourself from them. You already start standing out. And that's a big part of what it takes to really stand out. And we're going to talk a lot about things like that on Impact Sales Live. We're going to be doing it every week. As I said, we're going to be doing this every week on a Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. But to stand out leads you to kind of the next stop in the process. And, first you have to be recognized. You have to stand out, right? There has to be awareness, right? Then there has to be some degree of engagement. And the reason why that's so critical is no matter who you are, no matter what line of work you're in or the product or service or offering that you have, somewhere in the process, if you're involved in selling, you also are probably involved in some form of lead generation, right? It could be something that you get some leads from one source and some from another, and then you're left to do a lot of it yourself. For some people that are probably on this live, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, for some of you, you are your own source of lead generation. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Every day you wake up figuring out, who am I going to make contact with to be able to potentially talk to about my services? You are constantly focused on lead generation. I don't know, if you're paying a lot of attention to a lot of the sales and marketing groups and channels and pages that are online right now, but when you take a look at what's going on out in the world, there are a ton of people talking about lead generation services, whatever the service is, whether it's online or offline or social media or direct mail or email or just constant lead generations. It's literally, you're bombarded with all these different options. Well, and the reason you are is because it is such a large problem for anybody that's out there trying to produce for themselves. It's not going away anytime soon. And if you're going to go to the effort of standing out, if you're going to engage people, if you're going to interact with them in a way that's really, really positive in follow up to something that you've already put out there by way of marketing, if you're going to engage with them, then you need to figure out how to draw them in and turn them into a legitimate lead if they are one. You need to figure out if they are. You need to qualify them. You need to engage them. You need to capture their information as best as you can. And you need to start a relationship. Now, that relationship might be very, very short because what you do may not be a fit. That relationship may be a long courtship where it takes a long time for you to interact with them and get them to the point that they want to talk to you. you're dating for a long time, but you're not quite married. That could happen too. But the fact is, you have to first stand out, then you have to start engaging people, and then you better be thinking about something related to lead generation. Now, lead generation is different in every industry and every offering, and there isn't any one size fits all. Believe me, I wish there was. I would be lined up there trying to get it if there was one thing that always worked. But we're all right now on one of the greatest forms of lead generation that was ever created, social media. And it doesn't matter what your preferred methodology is or what your preferred social media channel may be for your business. For some businesses, it's LinkedIn. I know for my own, it's LinkedIn. For some, it's Facebook, others, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest. It doesn't really matter. This is one of the times now more than ever before in the history of man that you can get everything that you need is out there. It's very easy to find. And so many times people don't recognize that those things literally walk right past them on a daily basis. They miss the opportunity to interact with somebody on a thread of a post. They don't respond. That's one, right? Thank you, Josephine, for your post. I appreciate it. One of the things that I think is so critical is that you make a very good effort to try to interact with people. I know it's one of the things that is a development opportunity for myself. When somebody replies to a post that I make, I need to get better at replying to them and make sure I engage. And this is something you should all write down and make sure you focus on, because I think it's a game changer just because things happen so quickly. And if you don't do it reasonably quick, sometimes you miss your opportunity. So by engaging people and moving towards the opportunity of literally turning them into a lead, you now have the ability of standing out. One of the things that I'm a believer in is, as I said right from the beginning here with this live, was you need to stand out and you need to be different. And I want to share, just as an example, take a close look, and if you have a moment, text the word sales to the number 321-421-5213. That's my digital business card. That's how somebody can reach me to make contact. It's how they could schedule an appointment with me. It's how they could get a link to the Impact Sales podcast to download and subscribe to our podcast. You could do all of that things right from my digital business card. I doubt if I'll ever buy another paper digital or paper business card. I will always have a digital business card because I just believe you can do so much more. It helps you stand out. It's something that's a little different. Now, why am I mentioning that now? It's simply because as it relates to lead generation, you have to get creative with the methodologies that you use. You have to try different things. It may basically mean that you have to do a bunch of different things to generate the results that you'd like. You might have to have 3 or 4 or 5 different methods to get to the necessary results, but you need to have a focused strategy around lead generation. Now, there's plenty of experts out there that can talk to you about what that is. I deploy a pretty straightforward methodology in how I generate leads. I just believe that, yes, there are times where we'll engage other companies, and that's valuable as well. But I believe that there is a direct way to generate more than enough leads than you may ever need. And that comes from doing something a little different, being a little unique in the marketplace, trying to add as much value for the prospects that you can. Now, I do this. I think it's an important step, and I think everybody has the ability of doing this. Put yourself out there and add a little value to the people you're interacting with. Try to have a servant mentality to your prospects and clients. Now, I know that can be a very broad statement and it may not necessarily work for every situation, but sometimes just adding a little value up front and doing something for your prospect or your client can change everything. It can change their day. It could change their business. It could change their life with the right interaction or with the right introduction. So I'm a big believer in, if you see an opportunity to share information with people, that you share it. If you have the opportunity to share a relevant article, you should share it. It'll help you stay top of mind. If you have the opportunity to make an introduction that would benefit both parties, make that introduction. Do it proactively. You don't necessarily need to have any skin in the game just to do it, to add value. When I connect with people, On social media channels, primarily LinkedIn, but I'll do it in other examples as well. If I connect with somebody, I look to see if I can add value right away. I look at their profile. I also ask them many times if there's a way that I could introduce them to somebody that's in my network. I've been very fortunate. I've built a really robust LinkedIn network. And for everybody on this live, or anybody that catches the recording, if I can introduce you to somebody that's in my LinkedIn network, please let me know. I'd love to do that for you. The reason why that's so important is I like to lead with value, and you should as well. So if you really want to impact people from a sales standpoint, first bring value, follow that up by showing up big for your clients. Now, here's what I mean by that. Showing up big is you want to be that person that is all over whatever it is that you're trying to do for your clients. You're providing a product or a service, you're going to meet and exceed the expectations for that product and service. You're going to be there as a trusted resource for that client. You're going to be somebody that's going to show up big and help them grow their business. If you want to get them talking about you and your business in a positive way, in a way that could completely change the landscape of your success, well, then you want to show up big for your clients. One of the biggest things that I get when I talk to clients and prospects and coaching clients that I work with sometimes is many people struggle with that because they're concerned about, I want to make sure that I meet all the expectations, and that's true, but you do want to do that as a bare minimum. But how do you show up big? What other ways can you add value? What other value added things can you do for your client? Always show them that you have their best interest in mind by putting things out there that could potentially help them, putting out things that are going to help them change their business in a positive way. One of the things that I love is probably one of my favorite buttons in social media is the share button, the ability of sharing posts or articles or links or anything like that. If you were to just every day look at your targeted prospects and you were to say, I want to have a positive impact on all of these people as much as I can, look at what's going on in social media, and any place that you see some relevant article or information, pass it on and share with them and just let them know that you're thinking of their best interest. If they're not already a client, they're going to know that you're interested in their best interest. They're going to keep you top of mind. They're going to be realizing that you're thinking about them and that you're really genuinely concerned about what's going on. Now, I'm not saying you blast those things out there to everybody, whether it's relevant or not. I'm saying when appropriate, when you know that this person has an interest in something, this prospect, this client, this business, if they have an interest in something like that, share it with them. Do it for them, even if you think they may already know the information, even if you think they've already seen the article, even if you make sure that, they get that value, you have to put it out there for them. Acting as if you're going to help take care of their business even before they start working with you is one way to win new business that a lot of people underestimate. Now, I want to tell you, you want to be very, very careful, especially as you start working with a lot of thought leaders and you're starting to interact with people. Take a close look at who's already liked or seen things, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to re-forward somebody else's content that they've already seen, or even worse, if they've already produced it themselves. But you do want to think about ways that you could share information for them. Now, I talk about that a lot because I think showing up big for your client starts before you ever make them a client. Coming up with a way of adding value, doing things for them that brings a lot of value to them. I'm a big fan of doing a complimentary consultation with anybody that I may work with. And I like to make sure that at the end of that conversation, no matter what direction it goes and no matter where it ends up, that they end up getting a lot of value, whether they choose to work with me or not work with me, that they feel that that time was well served. Well, this is another thing that you should write down. You should make all of your interactions like that. You should make all of your interactions in a way that at the end of it, you can look at it and realize that your client, your prospect, was better off by having that interaction with you. whether you're just sharing information with them, whether you're just helping them better understand an issue, a challenge, a problem, a solution, whatever it is, just add value. And you do that as early as possible in the relationship. Sometimes, and I just had a guest on one of my recent podcasts, and we talked about this at length. Sometimes it means that you don't win their business. Sometimes it means that the very best thing that you can do for them is to say, I'm not your person. I'm not the guy. I'm not the one that's going to best solve this problem. There's somebody else that I want to make an introduction to you for. I want to introduce you to them. They're the right person for you. I trust them enough to know that they're the right fit and they can help you. And I want to get you two together. And I will tell you, I've done that historically in my career. I've introduced people to other people that were a better fit to help them. And it's one of the things that always will serve your business in a positive way. If for no other reason than putting that type of goodwill out there will absolutely help your prospects and clients have a better understanding of our and what you're about. And see, when you talk about that, you really come back to what I said about showing up big and helping to educate and lift up your clients. Look, somewhere on this live, there are people out there that are scrambling and struggling to generate the business that they need to stay in business. Just like there are other people here that are very successful and are reaching the goals that they've set for themselves and they want to get better. And in the middle, there's a lot of people that are hit and miss, good days, bad days. There's this swing to things in business. But one of the things that I think you always need to be focused on and you need to make sure that you don't lose sight of is educating and lifting people up wherever possible in the line of the execution of your business. Sometimes it'll mean business for you immediately. Sometimes people will go, this has been so impactful. I want to work with you. How can your solution help me? Or what can you do to help me? What can you offer to help with me? Sometimes it'll be business in the near future. Whether you all knew this or not, and I know people that worked with me hear me say this all the time, but it's so, so true. You're all paid in multiple ways, but at least two. The first is in the form of the products or services or offerings that you provide. And the second is in the form of extremely valuable referrals that people may give to you. So if you're struggling in your business and you're seeing one person after the other, and they're not buying, they're not taking advantage of the products or the services that you're offering, and you're not getting any momentum in your business, I'm willing to bet it's because you're probably not asking people for referrals. And that means even from the point of you first meeting them and getting to know them and sharing value. Now, some people will say, well, I don't like to ask for referrals until after I've worked with them or after I've done something for them. Well, for everybody here that feels like that, if you've got that uncomfortable pit in your stomach, that's you, that you're just uncomfortable doing that and asking for referral until you've added value, go back to what I said a couple of minutes ago about doing something of value for your prospects or your clients, sharing something, making an introduction, introducing them to somebody inside your network, sharing a relevant article, sharing content, something that adds value. If you're worried about asking for referrals, go back to what I said and start doing that today. Start doing it immediately. Start providing that value up front. It becomes a lot easier to ask for referrals. It becomes a lot easier for you to be able to ask people, to be able to get them to introduce you to other people that may help your business. But it's so important that you understand that in that process, you are educating. Even if a client or a prospect doesn't work with you, even if at the end of it, they don't decide to work with you, if you educate them and lift them up through the process, you are setting the table for future business. It might be in the form of referrals. It might be in the form of them working with you. If you are in a line of work where you are very focused on one sector and it's a closed sector where there's a certain type amount of companies that are in that business and people jump from one company to the other all the time, it's so important that you do these things, build those relationships, educate people, lift them up, introduce them to other people. Because you know what happens? People leave one company, one decision maker. Let's say they leave a company and they go to work for another company. And the first company that they were with didn't need what you offered, but that next one does. And because you laid the right foundation, got to know these people, interacted with them the right way, lifted them up and educated them and gave them a lot of value, you're going to be top of mind. You're going to be that person that they want to work with. And this is so true in businesses that have a lot of turnover, right? We live in the day of the great resignation. You think there's turnover going on out there right now? There's a ton of it. People are going from one job to another because they feel better about another organization. The culture's better. They feel a better fit for themselves. Well, if you're that person that has given them a lot of value, but you haven't been able to work with them yet, or maybe you have worked with them and you've developed a great relationship with them and the company, and now they're at another business, well, that just opens the door for you to do more business. You could work with their old company as well as their new company, but it only happens if you've educated them and you've lifted them up somehow. You've provided some value. Now, this is just a sample of some of the things that you're going to be seeing and hearing at Impact Sales Live. We're going to be doing this every single Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Each week is going to be different. We're going to have guests here. We're going to be sharing some very big sales successes. We're going to be highlighting different strategies. We're going to announce in advance sometimes when we have prepared information relevant to one particular topic so you can really dial in. But most importantly, we're going to make sure that there's valuable content that you're going to be getting. So stay tuned. There's still more to come. So I say all these things up until this point about having a servant mentality for your clients and showing up big and educating and bringing a lot of value. So we can get to what I like to call the pinnacle of the process, get to what really is the most important thing. And that's getting to a place in your business where you're perceived and looked at as the trusted advisor. Now, here's what I mean. In some cases, you're going to see that it's hard. It takes time to develop that relationship. But the position that you always want to aspire towards when you're working with a client, and it doesn't matter whether you're working directly with an individual or you're directing with a business or a group of businesses or a panel or all these things, your goal should always be to position yourself as a trusted advisor. Now, how do you go about doing that? It's all the things that we've been talking about, all the things that I've been sharing that I'm going to continue to share. We talk about this constantly on our podcast. We share these types of things on our website. We dig into relevant content all the time and highlight the fact that if you're selling to a business or to an individual and you really want to separate yourself from everybody else, your goal should not be to close business. Yes, that's great. But your goal should be to become a trusted advisor. Because what happens when you do that, all of these things become easier. You've earned their respect. You've earned the right to do business with them. You've earned the referrals you've gotten. You've earned new business, repeat business, additional business that you didn't expect, upsell opportunities. All of these things become easier when you're a trusted advisor. And one of the things that I like to talk about when I share details about being a trusted advisor is the way I want you to all look at this is if you really want to be called a trusted advisor, this is how you should perceive it. If you're working with your prospect or your client and they wouldn't make a business decision relevant to anything particular to your specialty or offering without talking to you about it first, congratulations, you're their trusted advisor. I've had the great pleasure of working with people that were that for many businesses. I've been fortunate enough to be that for other businesses. And I will tell you, there's no doubt that it separates you from other people that are out there. And what does that look like? Well, that will look unique in that they will come to you whenever there's something relevant in your particular sphere of influence. If there's a new opportunity within their business to expand, they're going to talk to you about it. Sometimes in advance of it even being formalized, they may come to you and say, we're considering this. What do you think? Can you help us do this? One of the things that you'll find is it also helps position you in a different way. Many times people lose business with clients because they don't attain this trusted advisor status. They are still perceived as a vendor, uh, a service provider, and not a true trusted advisor. And why is that important to understand the distinction? Because if you're just a service provider or a vendor, anybody that comes along that with something that's flashier or more exciting or maybe a little bit more affordable is a potential threat to you losing that client. They are somebody who may take your business away. And for anybody that's on this live, that's a professional service advisor, a coach, a consultant, whatever, you know what I'm talking about. If you're an accountant, if you're uh, a realtor, if you're a finance guy, if you're any of those things, you understand that many times retention and referrals can either make or break your business. And you understand that if you're 1 point off or $5,000 more expensive or one less service than the other guy offers, that you could be at risk. And the fact is, the way you minimize those risks, the way you protect yourself against losing them in the scheme of things is to position yourself as a trusted advisor. See, here on Impact Sales Live, we're going to be bringing trusted advisors to you. The people that we're going to be bringing onto this live going forward are going to be game changers. They're going to be people that do it the right way, the way that I'm talking about today, and they're going to be bringing a lot of valuable content. They're going to be bringing a lot of information. I interview people like that on the Impact Sales podcast. It's available on 38 podcast channels. Wherever you listen to your podcast, just look up the Impact Sales podcast. You're going to see this guy's face, and you're going to get a lot of great content where I interview top sales producers and thought leaders, people that are doing it this way to position themselves as trusted advisors. But we're going to bring those people live to you here on Impact Sales Live. They're going to bring sales stories. They're going to be talking about what's going on in their business. They're going to be sharing insights and things that will be game changers. I'll tell you right now, if you've been paying attention and you've been writing down things here just over this first live, over the first 37 minutes, you would have gotten a couple of game-changing tips. Whether you wrote them down or not, I don't know. But I'm telling you, these things will make a difference for you and your business. No question about it. The things that our guests are going to be bringing are going to be some real-life examples of this stuff, and we're going to be picking their brain a little bit on what that looks like here live so you can hear it firsthand, and also so you can get the insights that how they're viewing it and how they're experiencing it. So I want to let everybody know as we talk about that trusted advisor status, that's going to be an ongoing thread throughout Impact Sales Live. We're going to dig deep into this, and I'm going to show you how this can take a business from practically zero to a multi-million-dollar business if you follow a simple model, if you follow a simple approach to how you attack your business. And if you're curious about what that looks like, reach out to me one-on-one. I'd be happy to talk to you about it. Connect with me on my digital business card. Text the word sales to 321-421-5213. Connect with me on any of these social media channels. I definitely want to talk to you about it. But being a trusted advisor can make all the difference in the world. I had the great opportunity of working with a phenomenal company for an extended amount of time here recently, about 18 months. And one of the things that I loved about this organization was the fact that their CEO was a trusted advisor and known entity in the industry. He was a key opinion leader. He was a knowledge guy in that space. People in that space reached out to him because he understood it better than anybody. And it changed the game for a lot of companies because they could reach out to him and he could provide a lot of valuable content and data, relevant market data that could help their business. And he created an amazing business utilizing that. That's the same approach that I'm talking about taking right now for all of you, no matter what it is that you offer, whether you're a solopreneur or whether you work for a big company. I'm going to tell you the difference. If you are positioned as that trusted advisor, somebody could come in there with more product, less cost, more offerings, all the bells and whistles. But if you're their trusted advisor, it's hard to take that business away from you. If you're struggling to get in front of people, I highly recommend that you start taking the mindset that you want to be their trusted advisor and start sharing that with people. Start explaining to them, look, I want to be your trusted advisor in whatever space you're in. I want to be your trusted resource for this, or this. Start communicating that. Start speaking the language that ultimately puts you where you want to be. And that is so critical to your success. I will tell you that in sales, especially side by side, it comes down to a couple of things. If you have like for like products or similar pricing or similar offerings, I will tell you how people perceive you and whether they like, respect you, and believe you to sincerely be out for their best interest can make all the difference in the world. It could make the difference between whether they do and don't work with you. It could make the difference between whether or not they do and don't refer you to other people. It could make the difference between success and failure in your business. So you want to really dial this in. This is a really important topic. I started with this today. I wanted to go with this. I got a bunch of people I want to bring as guests, but I wanted to start with this today because I wanted to kick things off with what I believe are the most relevant, game-changing things that each of you needs to focus on starting today. If you're not doing it, I'm sure some of you are doing a lot of this stuff already. If you're not, you should start. And I want you to remember what those things were, right? You want to stand out. You want to make sure you stand out. You're different. You're doing things differently. And how do you stand out? You bring a lot of value. You share content. You keep your prospects aware of the fact that you have their best interest in mind. You focus on that. Why? Because in your business, your number one goal needs to be lead generation, right? You need to be generating more leads, more opportunities. I talk a lot about the science and the art of selling, right? The science are the numbers, how many opportunities, what your metrics are, how many prospects do you generate, how many interactions do you have? All that is science, right? Art, the art side of it is how you do what you do, salesmanship, what you say, how you communicate, your personality, your communication skills. All of that is art. But the fact is, you have to focus on generating leads to give yourself enough of an opportunity to be successful. I would rather be poor on the art side and an expert on the lead generation side, because I'll tell you, if you have a lot of leads, it becomes a lot easier to generate business. I'd much rather do that than have no leads, but be great on the communication side, because if you can communicate, but you have nobody to talk to, it's not going to help your business. And certainly I want to see that for all of you. I want to see you make that big step. You want to focus on having a servant mentality to all the clients. We talked about this because it truly positions you the right way. It starts the process of being perceived as a trusted advisor. You become somebody that they trust, they believe in, they rely on. They take everything that you say, knowing that you're trying to help them get better. It starts with that showing up big and really bringing value and educating them along the way. You're educating them, you're sharing information, you're becoming that trusted advisor just naturally through the process. And I know for some of you that are in a crunch, you're stressing and pressing, you're grinding it out, you're trying to get your business moving in the right direction. You're focused on immediate goals, right? I need this much business this month or I'm in trouble. I need X much revenue this quarter or I'm in trouble. I need this many opportunities or we're not going to do well. Whatever those rationales are, I'm telling you, you need to put that off to the side and you need to focus on becoming a valuable resource to your clients. Don't change the person you are because you're under pressure. Don't put yourself in a spot where you find yourself scrambling and not feeling in control of your business. Focus on the changes that I've talked about today and start making a change to be able to move those things in the right direction to ultimately get you to the point that you become that trusted advisor. Make sure along the way that as you're looking at things, as you're looking at opportunities to interact with people, ask yourself this question. Am I showing up big for this prospect or client? Am I doing everything I can to help move the needle for their business? Am I sincerely looking out for their best interest as I move forward? Because if you start doing that, if you start digging into that and focusing on that and do all the other things that I've talked about in this live, you'll find yourself in a position where you will immediately start to gain traction. Remember, you're paid in two ways: the products or services or offerings that you provide, as well as the referrals that you receive from the people that you work with. And you don't necessarily have to have a client before they give you a referral. So, for all of you who think that that's the case and you just feel like that's the only way of doing it, I promise you that you can turn around and absolutely turn that around and flip that switch by simply doing the things I talked about today, putting the value out there, lifting them up and educating them. And even if now is not the time for you to help them, or they're not the right fit for your product or service or offering, they will certainly help you turn around and get referrals for your business. And thank you, Chris, for your feedback. I appreciate it. Make sure, as you move towards the aspect of becoming a trusted advisor for your prospects or clients, that you don't lose sight of that. Stay focused on it. Stay committed to the idea that I know if I do this the right way, this is going to happen. Now, nowhere in all of this process have we talked about moving stuff over the finish line and closing and doing all these things. But what we've done today in this first live is we've laid the foundation for how all those things become easier, how all those things become much more comfortable for you in the process. It becomes a lot easier for you to ask for business and to ask clients to make decisions about working with you when you've done all those things that I've mentioned today, when you've built that foundation, where you've provided value, where you literally have put together things that are valuable to them and are lifting their business. You've earned the right to call yourself a trusted advisor to them, and they see that as well. That's when it becomes easy to win business. See, being successful in sales and having just dynamic sales success and creating systems and having all of these things only matter if you're able to do it in a way that is comfortable and organic. And being yourself, being genuine, being transparent, putting yourself out there, providing value, educating people, helping them make informed decisions, guiding them down a path that it may even lead to them working with somebody else, because it's just not the best thing for them to work with you because somebody else may be a better fit. If you can do all of those things and put the stressors of business aside and do those things, you are halfway there towards being a trusted advisor. I will tell you that to make significant, major leaps forward in your business, if you don't position yourself as that trusted advisor, many of the additional opportunities that come by way of new business from existing prospects and clients will bypass you. You'll miss those opportunities. There's been many clients over my really long sales career that have said to me, we've enjoyed working with you on this project. We know we have some holes over here, and we'd like to have you help us fix these problems as well. But it only happened because I had earned the right as a trusted advisor for them to come and look at me for that other opportunity. Sometimes people take the approach that it's a scorched earth mentality to prospecting and generating business. Like, it's either yes or no, you've got to work with me. Well, yes or no by way of an initial decision, but they may want to work with you in 6 months or in 6 years or in never. You just don't know. The point I'm trying to make is the process is the same. You lay the foundation the same way. You stick to what that is. Every single person on this live today, whether you knew it or not, just as an extension of a very basic minimum social media presence, has everything they could ever need in the palm of their hands by way of prospects and lead generation. It's all there. It's simply a matter of figuring out the right recipe and the right way to help you move your business forward. If you're personally struggling with trying to figure out the whole lead generation nightmare, or trying to figure out how you position yourself as that trusted advisor, and you really want to do it the right way because you know you've got something important that's going to change the world, I would love to help you with that. I would love to give you the opportunity to understand how to maximize those things. And what I would recommend that you do is text the word sales to 321-421-5213. Jump on my calendar, schedule a time to talk with me one-on-one. I'd love to help you kind of guide through that process and just set yourself up to get those things in your business, help position you as that trusted advisor, get you the leads that you need, and make sure that you have everything that you need in your business. Um, One of the things that has been on my list of things that I needed to do in the development of our business here has been to do these lives and to interact with people more. So for those of you that I have done a horrible job connecting organically and engaging online, be prepared. I'm going to be interacting with you on a much higher level. I'm going to be here live every Monday at 4 p.m. because I believe that Monday is one of the most important days of the week. You may not all feel that way yet, but I'm telling you, hang out with me on a Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern, and you're going to start realizing that, because Monday is the day that sets the table for the rest of your week. If you come into Monday and you have a tough day to start the week, it comes much, much harder to kind of turn it around. If you come into a Monday and you get a nice fast start and you feel energized and excited about it because you feel you got a lot going on and there's plenty of opportunity, it definitely sets the table for a much better week. I want to make sure that I'm a part of that. So this live is going to be here every Monday for you on Facebook, LinkedIn, on our YouTube channel. You definitely want to check out the Impact Sales podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on 38 major listening platforms. You can catch us everywhere. Google, Spotify, Apple, we're out there. Definitely want to jump onto some of those. Catch some of the people that I am interviewing and talking to. Major thought leaders in the space, authors, TEDx speakers, game-changing sales innovators and thought leaders, people that are out there in the field getting things done in a big way. And I'm going to be bringing those people here live on Mondays. So you're not going to have to listen to me every Monday. You're going to be hearing me along with guests and different feedback, different comments, and different directions. Don't miss this opportunity. I know Mondays aren't the easiest day, but I'm telling you, there's going to be a lot of value here. And if there's anything that we can do to help you in the development of your business, solving the lead generation problem, solving the trusted advisor challenge, or position yourself in a way to get more business in the door for you and your company, just text the word sales to 321-421-5213. I'm happy to jump on a call with you, talk about whatever's going on with sales in your business, help you get things moving in the right direction. I want to serve as your trusted advisor to help you take that next step in the development of your business, no matter where it may take us. I also want to make sure that I, again, recognize our sponsor for Impact Sales Live, which is Podcast Easy. Rena McGill and her team at Podcast Easy, I'm telling you, has been amazing to work with. If you're at all interested in wanting to have a podcast, you need to check out Podcast Easy. I had talked about having a podcast for a long time. I struggled with it. I tried one of those small little side-by-side handheld type podcasting things. It was a mess. Didn't work. I met Rena. I started talking with her team at Podcast Easy. I was blown away by everything that they helped me do and set up. And I couldn't be happier. If you want to get more information about Podcast Easy, just go into the chat right here. Click on the link. You know, there's a little bit.ly link there. It says get your podcast. Click on it. There's some great information about Podcast Easy, or reach out to me directly. I'll tell you my story. I'll tell you exactly what it's meant to our business and the impact that it's had. Look, I know it's not easy out there. These are challenging times. These are times where it's difficult to do business. Okay. Now more than ever before, you need to sharpen your skills. Now more than ever before, you need to dig deep and figure out what you need to do to stand out, to provide more value, to really be recognized as a thought leader in your space and position yourself as that trusted advisor. If you solve that problem, if you can get to that stage, business becomes a lot easier. Life is too short for you to miss those opportunities and to go through the challenge and the obstacles of banging your head against the wall and not feeling that you're generating true traction in your business. I know I've been there before over the years. I've seen it happen to many people that I've worked with. And I feel that I understand enough about this to be able to help you crack the code for yourself, no matter what your industry is, no matter what your product is. So if you're a coach or a consultant or an entrepreneur or just a high-level sales professional that's selling for a company and you want to separate yourself from what other people are doing, I'm going to tell you right now, jot in your calendar, 4 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday, and be here for Impact Sales Live. You're going to get a lot of stuff, a lot of information, and it's actionable. It's stuff that you can take out there and deploy for your own benefit. If you aren't sure how to deploy something, if you don't know exactly how to take this information and put it to good use for yourself, then reach out to me. I want to be your personal trusted advisor on this journey. I want to help you get to where you want to go with your business, no matter what your goals are. If you are serious about wanting to take that next step and grow your business, well, then you need to get serious about how you approach sales and how you interact with people. Now more than ever before, like I said at the beginning, you can reach more people with a phone than you could ever reach in the history of man. Right now, you could reach people right from there. Millions of people are out there. There's no reason that you can't be successful. So for those of you that are struggling right now, for those of you that are doing well, but you know you're not reaching your full potential, you're not quite where you want to be, there's probably only a couple of missing pieces to the recipe. And I'm willing to bet that a lot of those missing pieces are going to be here at Impact Sales Live. Don't miss the opportunity to get that information so you can put it to good use. I want to share with you one more thing before we wrap up today. I want you to recognize that for everything that you do out there, every bit of goodwill you put out there, every effort, every attempt that you make to lift and educate somebody, to make somebody else's business better, is the best form of advertising that you can do for yourself and your business that you could ever imagine. Go out there and show up big for a client today. Show up for a prospect. Do something that they didn't expect you to do, but it helped them lift their business. In return, I promise you, in the long run, it's going to benefit yours. Don't miss this opportunity to turn around and do something special and start this process in a big way. I mentioned about showing up big for your clients and your prospects. Just start small. Start providing extra value. Start sharing good content. Start giving people the information that they need to make better decisions for themselves in their business. Add things, share ideas, feedback, perspectives, give them value. And I promise you, the opportunities will come for you to make a bigger impact. Value is fleeting in today's marketplace. You need to follow it up. When you bring value, you need to also figure out how to bring the impact. How do you make an impact? How do you stand out? How do you really jump forward in the eyes of your clients and prospects? And you're going to be able to get a lot of both here at Impact Sales Live. I want to thank you all for taking the time. If you've hung with me this whole hour, great. If you catch the recording later on, I appreciate it. I thank you so much for being here. I promise you, week in, week out, except the week of July 4th, we will be here on a Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern to bring you relevant, game-changing, and actionable tips that you can take and put to good use inside your business. Don't miss this chance. I'm telling you, you're going to really want to be here. There's some special things we have planned, some well-recognized faces, some people that are going to really give you some game-changing insights into sales, and more importantly, give you the opportunity to be able to take these things and put to use in your own business. If you are struggling, if you need help, if you know there are things that you need to be doing better and you are not reaching your full potential in sales, I want to be a resource to you. So I'm going to offer one more time. Text the word sales to the number 321-421-5213. That's sales to 321-421-5213. My name is Joe Beck. I'm the founder of The Sales Activist and the host of the Impact Sales Podcast on 38 different podcasting channels. Look us up. Definitely jump onto our podcast. Listen to that. There's a lot of great information. Some of the names and faces that you're going to see on our podcast are going to be here to talk to me live and share information about what's going on with sales for them and what they're doing to change the game of those around them. I appreciate you all being here. This has been a lot of fun. I already know what's going to be happening next week. I'm excited about it. You should be excited about it. You definitely want to be here next week for Impact Sales Live, 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss it. Jot it off in your calendar, block it off. I'm going to make sure that I list events in LinkedIn and Facebook again. I'm going to share on social media. Make this your time each week that you dedicate just a little bit of time investing in yourself towards making your sales end of your business better. This is Joe Beck. I appreciate you being here, and we'll catch you next on Impact Sales Live. Take care.